So guys, it's time to do the unthinkable, and that is review the IFI Audio Diablo 2 DAC headphone amp. Before we get to it, I'll look around the device, kind of show you guys all the switches and all that stuff. Also, I'll kind of show you the stuff that it comes with, and then we'll talk about sound and all that kind of stuff, kind of do the usual. Anyway, let's get to it. Right, well here is basically everything it comes with, although there are a few other things I didn't include in the box that are basically adapter cables for various hookups. Now it does come with this travel case, which you can actually hook up a shoulder strap to and carry it that way. Another neat thing is you can actually slide the unit in here under the strap and then run the cables out to your phone, which you put back here. And then that way you can kind of carry just this one unit and just sort of have your headphones hooked up through the top, for example. And yeah, definitely kind of a neat design. I like how they did that instead of it being just sort of a case that you carry it in that you then have to take out. You can actually just use the unit with the case, so that's definitely kind of neat. Of course, it does come with some feet. It comes with a couple of different ones. These are the angled feet. Of course, you can see one side is thicker than the other. They basically just slide in here. There's actually two positions, and the idea is, of course, if you're using this on a desktop type scenario, you would want to have these on here. That way it'll just kind of angle it up and keep it from moving around when you interact with it. But yeah, definitely kind of neat there. And they just slide in and out, as you can see. And these actually fit in here too, so that's kind of cool. Of course, it comes with a, I'm blanking here. It comes with a headphone adapter to a 1/4 inch from a whatever, I forget what that one's called. Anyway, it also comes with the iPower power supply. But yeah, looking around the unit, pretty simple. Of course, you've got your 1/4 inch jack here. You've got your 4.4 Pentacon balanced. You have basically a gain switch. It's normal, turbo, nitro. Again, basically a gain switch. This thing is supposed to put out about 5.5 watts, roughly speaking, out of the balanced. I'm assuming in the nitro mode. Of course, here's your multifunction switch. Basically, it's your volume and your on-off. Of course, up here you've got a MEMS switch or XMEMS switch, and there is, and to be honest with you, it's something I was unaware of. I'll be honest with you, but there's a kind of, I don't want to say newer. I hadn't researched it 100%, but there's a different driver technology for headphones called XMEM drivers, and basically this allows you to kind of switch it up to where this is more compatible with that type of driver if you so have it. Of course, you have the IE match. If you're using in-ear monitors, you can set that to where it's either working off the 4.4 or the 1/4 inch, and then that way it works better with your in-ear monitors. One nice thing with the volume knob is it does have a lock, which you can engage simply by sliding it, and it kind of locks the volume so that if you're carrying this around like in your pocket, for example, you don't inadvertently turn it up or down or whatever, and you just kind of press it and move it down, and then there we go. Round back, equally simple. You do have built-in Bluetooth as well. Very, very nice. Of course, we'll talk about that in sound, but you can pair that here. Of course, you have a balanced output, and this is a 4.4. So you could use this with a preamp or use this as a preamp to a power amp if you so chose. Right here we have a multifunction input. It's basically a mini optical jack as well as a 3.5 analog. You have your 5-volt power, which you can use that to hook up with. I also believe you can run it off standard USB as well in terms of powering it, but I do believe it's quite a bit slower. Of course, you have your USB input here for your audio. But yeah, very simple, very well made. The build quality on these are generally very, very nice with IFI audio products. I typically find they're more expensive components like this, and of course this thing, talking about price, is $1,300. So definitely up there in cost, but very, very lovely made, and you know, you feel like you can drop it and it's going to be good and survive heavy use. You know what I mean? But anyway, let's talk about sound, and yeah. So what do I think about sound quality? Well, before we talk about that, let's talk about some other pros besides sound quality. One pro, of course, I already mentioned, is build quality. This thing is solid. It's a good solid brick. You can drop it, throw it around. It is a solid piece of gear. And I like that about IFI Audio. I think they get that build quality right. Even at the lowest price points, they get build quality right. I think that is absolutely phenomenal. Truly, really, really, truly. The next pro is going to be connectivity and options. You know, some companies, they'll release a product and it's just a headphone amp. It's just a portable headphone amp. Or they'll release a portable DAC and it's just a DAC. And then you've got to hook it to something else. You know what I mean? It's just ridiculous. With iFi Audio, they give you options. Now, sometimes I bemoan those options or their choice of options, but at least they give them to you, you know what I mean? Of course, you've got, you know, balanced, unbalanced audio. Of course, you have an output. It is balanced, which is something I bemoan, but it's there. Of course, Bluetooth as well. You got options there. You got optical and analog in, so you could actually use this technically as a preamp if you really wanted to. I didn't that way, but you could. Yeah, options. I like that. That is a great pro. Of course, the next pro is obviously sound quality. Getting on to that, you know, truly superlative here. I notice, it seems to me that iFi Audio is kind of moving in a direction with their sound. I think some of their earliest products I ever remember hearing, they were kind of lighter in tone, or heft. They were lighter weight sounding, you know, and I think they're kind of moving to more of a fuller body sound. And it could just be they're upping the power on these and they're increasing the power, so that's kind of offsetting that sort of lighter weight tone. But I don't really think so. I think with a lot of their newer products I've heard, obviously the Diablo 2, but of course others as well, you are getting a more fuller sound, fuller in the mid-range, fuller in the bass, and you know, without cutting the expense of the treble and that sort of thing. You don't feel like you're missing anything. You don't feel like, okay, it's got a great, you know, mid-range warmth and glow, but the treble's rolled off, so it doesn't sound airy. No, you get everything here. And one nice thing with this is I did use a lot of headphones with this. I used my Koss Porta Pros. I used my Grado SR80s. I used the Hi-Fi Man Sundara, the closed back version. And I used a Meze 99 Classic, no, the 99 Neo. And, you know, overall, it works well with all of them. I did have a preference. As odd as it sounds, I really like my Koss Porta Pros. The ones that are kind of the over-ear, that kind of click on the ear, those are cheap as heck. They have titanium drivers in them. I really always have liked the sound of those. One of the nice things about the Koss Porta Pro is, for whatever reason, regardless of cost of headphones, the thing that the Koss gets right, time and time again, I notice it with using it with all kinds of different products, is it gets tone and timbre right. A guitar, you know, when I listen to Charlie Bird, his guitar sounds like a guitar. And, you know, when you hear him switching from, you know, B flat to E, you know, and changing up chords and notes, you can really hear the intonation of everything very well with the Koss. And that's why I love those. But of course, I use that with this. The 99 Neos were pretty good as well. And I don't think I'm a big fan of plain R magnetic headphones. Let's put it that way. Probably a good reason why I'm not a fan of ribbon driver speakers. But in any case, you know, absolutely fantastic. Of course, they sounded very nice with my Grados as well. But I primarily used my Koss because I like those with this. The pairing was very simpatico. You know what I mean? But yeah, great bass, great extension in the bass, great rhythmic drive in the bass, which isn't always a given. Of course, at this price point, you maybe think so. Again, the mid-range here is coming across a little bit more fully than some of their older designs, and I like that. I love that about this. You know, it really gives some good heft and weight and sort of, I wouldn't say burnish, but it gives a slight coloration because of that added weight to the mid-range. And of course, the treble, it doesn't really have any deficiencies. Actually, I can't really speak to the treble a whole lot, except to say that there's no deficiencies. There's nothing that it did that was wrong. I didn't notice anything, so therefore it was good to me. But yeah, anyway, let's talk about the con. The only con I can see with this, to be honest with you, outside of anything, is really its price. Because if we look at iFi Audio's, a lot of their other products, their portable headphone DAC amps, as I said before, a lot of these products are going to kind of that little bit richer, a little bit fuller sound. And so I get to think, well, why would you buy this for $1,300 if your primary goal is to use this as a portable product, when you can simply buy the little plug-in USB DAC that I reviewed way back when, you know, the little dongle DAC that they make, and I want to say it's like $70. And to be honest with you, I don't think the sound quality was dramatically that different, at least memory's sake. You know what I mean? You know, to me, it had a lot of the same character. Now, of course, this had richer bass, had deeper bass. It went lower, it went louder. But, you know, the overall basic sonic character that was presented, as I remember it, was exactly the same. So that's a con to me. Why would you spend $1,300 on something? And sure, it comes with a lot of cool accessories, but why would you spend that much on this when for $70, $100, you can get one of their far cheaper products and get 95% of the same exact performance? You know what I mean? So yeah, that is it for the iFi Audio Diablo 2. I do recommend it. I don't want you to think the con is me not recommending it, because I do recommend it because it is fantastic. It really truly is. All the connectivity, all the features. I didn't mention it, but the Bluetooth sounds fantastic. I honestly didn't notice any degradation in sound between running aptX HD off my Pixel into this versus running this from my laptop into this. Yeah, I said that right. Anyway, I didn't notice any degradation in sound quality difference between the two. So Bluetooth is fantastic with this. But yeah, I do think iFi Audio is kind of shooting themselves in the foot a little bit by releasing products that are technically better, but they're so close in performance to their far less costly, you know, brothers and sisters in the lineup, that I think they're kind of shooting themselves in the foot a little bit. You know what I mean? But anyway, absolutely fantastic. I do recommend it. And yeah, that is it. This video has been long overdue. I really wanted to kind of explore this more than I have. And a lot of that had to come down to using different headphones with it and obviously purchasing these headphones. And, you know, I purchased the 99 Neos and I purchased the Sundara closebacks specifically for this thing so I could, you know, use it with different headphones. But yeah, anyway, peace out, stay tuned. We do have new stuff coming up as well. So yeah, anyway.